Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode 196. I hope to God this sounds good and it looks good. Larry here.
How you doing?
Doing good, and I'm joined by my very good friend who's been on the podcast before.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
That's all right, though.
Which moniker do I give you?
Mario. That's fine. That's
Mario.
Fine. That's what I'm going with. That's what we're going with. What's new?
Nothing much. Nothing much. You're looking good, my friend.
So are you.
Thank you.
Very handsome.
Now that the lies are out of the way.
Okay.
Anthony's on assignment this week. He's working, so that's why Mario has been kind enough to sit in.
Yeah, he asked me the other day. I figured, hey, got the time. Interesting subject. Let's do it.
Since we're actually neighbors, basically,
Yes.
we can do this.
Yeah. Just two floors set us apart.
There we go.
So what do we got for today, Larry? What's going on?
A couple things we're going to talk about. First, though, I just want to mention one thing real quick, which is a little newer, but it's got some old to it as well. Couple of demos that I've played recently. We talked about last week. Anthony had mentioned how, first of all, coming out next month in September is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered.
From the PlayStation.
PlayStation, N64, Dreamcast. You ever played these games before?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I had number 1. A friend of mine had number 2. We used to play it like crazy. I was pretty terrible at it, actually, because I never really got the mechanic down right. But by the third one, which was I had on PlayStation 2, I think, right? I was getting better at it. I actually created a Lemmy with this create a skater mode. Yeah, I was very proud at the likeness, and I wish I would have preserved it.
All right. Well, hey, at least you got it, so that's good.
It was cool.
Very cool. I loved. I played more Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Oh, you were 2 guy. Yeah.
Yeah, big number 2 guy on N64. Anthony always talks about playing it on Dreamcast, which was a great copy as well.
That's true. Was it Dreamcast or Saturn?
Dreamcast. There was probably a Saturn version, but I can definitely say there was a Dreamcast.
I thought the first 2, and when they went to the third, it went to the Dreamcast and PS2 and all that. I could be wrong.
No, 2 was definitely on Dreamcast.
It was. Okay.
Actually, I think 1 and 2. So, of course, now they're re-released, and there's been like 12 Tony Hawk games since, but now they're going back to the first 2. And Anthony mentioned last week how there's a demo available, but only if you pre-purchase the digital copy. And we had a little back and forth on that as far as that makes sense or not.
So the only way you're getting a demo, what you're saying is you have to pre-purchase the whole game.
As of right now, I think it's an early release demo. I'm not 100% sure.
That full of a demo? Like an early...
No. It's only like just the warehouse level, that first level.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, it's your dollar, your choice. I mean, if you want to get a little taste of it and you're that much of an enthusiast for the game, go for it,
Yeah, right. I mean, I have mine on pre-order already. So I have access.
You're in.
Tony Hawk.
We're going to look this up. Oh, boy.
Game. Oh, Lord knows what's going to come up.
Did you mean Top Game?
No. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. There we go. And that brings us to TonyHawkTheGame.com.
Let's take a look at this beauty over
muted.
Here.
Nope, that is not muted. That's now muted. So here it is, the Digital Deluxe Edition. Access to the warehouse demo available now.
Right.
And then there is an asterisk, and of course it doesn't really say what the asterisk will do.
I see. Just that warehouse. Yeah. I got you. Okay.
So anyway, I got it, and I played it. And I actually played a little bit of it because I realized how bad I am. It's been a long time since I played Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I actually streamed some of it on our YouTube page, Retro Gamers Podcast. You can find this episode, and you can find my terrible gameplay that I streamed. As
long as you're having fun.
But I got to say, it brought me right back.
Yeah?
It brought me right back to the game. I mean, I got to get used to the grinds and everything.
Yeah, that game now is hitting it's 20-something years old now, right? Like it came out 20 years ago. It's a retro game. Now, I remember when that was a new game, and Nintendo and Sega was retro then, Yeah, now it's like ancient. That's wild.
So go check out the demo.
Did you ever... Now, from what I remember...
Yeah.
And again, I was getting to a phase at this point in my life where video games were kind of going off into the sunset for a time being. You know, I was playing a lot of music then, so that kind of became my priority. I started my job, which I've been with the past 20 years. But I do remember after 3, is that where the decline in the Tony Hawk series began?
I would probably say that.
Like, was it the next? And then they kind
This
of
is my demo here. I'm actually showing, even though you've already seen a little bit of it, I'm showing Mario right now.
It's beautiful. You know, you could tell it's the original game, and it's doing everything it's supposed to do, right? They just did this with Final Fantasy VII, right? So it's nice that these games are getting a kind of upgrade, and because they're still very playable. They're still very intuitive, you know.
I like when you fall, it kind of has like this like video glitch, it looks like, for you to get back up on your skates, on your skateboard.
Oh yeah, wow.
And there was only 2 songs available. There was Superman and something else. But what was funny is when I was broadcasting, because I broadcasted this demo live on, watch how he kind of glitched.
That was weird. Yeah.
I broadcasted this live. It was on my my PlayStation 4, so I did it directly. So you can hear all the noise of the game, but it took out the music, so you can't hear the music on my live stream.
This is a cool game because it was always accessible to all ages. Young kids would play this. You know, young adults would play this. Adults would play this. I think this is a game my kids would enjoy the opportunity.
I think so.
Did you ever play the Skate series?
I have not. No, this was really the only skateboard, and I never even got into the skateboarding scene.
I had one of those games, and I really thought it gave Tony Hawk a run for its money. I wasn't very good at it. It was on my, I think it was on my PlayStation 3, but it felt very intuitive. It was a fun game at the time, but it reminded me of the Tony Hawk days back then, which was already 10 years ago.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I played that demo, very fun. So yeah, go check that out. And you can purchase it on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or Steam. I also played the demo. This isn't retro, but I have to mention it, which is an open beta to everybody. The demo of the Avengers, the new Avengers game that has nothing to do with the movies.
It's based on the
comics.
Any particular era of the comics? The 60s?
Oh no,
70s?
recent stuff. But it has nothing to, like, none of the actors are in it.
Okay.
But, you know, it has Thor, Hulk, Iron Man.
What kind of game is it? A fighter, a brawler, or?
That's the thing, because I was a little worried what it was going to be. It's definitely a fighter.
Okay.
It's not like a Final Fight fighter, but it is
like a state of emergency type
kinda,
fighter. Like
it's like an open world.
Remember the Warriors?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And because for the demo you get to play,
makes sense.
And I didn't broadcast this, but I'm going to show Mario here.
Oh boy.
I keep wanting to call you Anthony.
Don't worry. You know.
Let's see. No, this is movie. Guess I should put game. Game, and then probably end game will come up, and then we'll accidentally bootleg that. It's just people. Can't I just get a trailer for it? There we go. I think this is a trailer. I'm just going to show it. All of you have seen it.
All right.
And that's basically. I mean, look at the graphics.
The models. That. I mean, the model of the Hulk looks like
that's
the movie.
Definitely gameplay.
Yeah, that looks like the movie Hulk,
that's what
right?
I was doing, yeah. So very fun. If you're able to, I don't know if the demo's available on the PS4. I did it on the Xbox One.
They look like the movie versions, though.
They look like, but not completely.
Right, no, I'm sure
maybe
there was rights and they had to alter the faces of the actors. No?
They purposely want nothing to... Nothing. They don't want this to be in conjunction with the movie.
Okay, so it just draws inspiration.
Exactly.
And it is not...
Because everyone's familiar with this.
Right.
But definitely the voices are not even... They're not even like sound-alikes.
Yeah, that's definitely not Scarlett Johansson.
But still, very cool.
Looked more like Thor.
Go check it out. And I just wanted to mention, so those 2 demos, really fun to play. And...
Cool.
Wanted to do that.
Yeah, very cool. Looks like fun.
So what I want to talk about this week is, because you are, I'm not going to say you're because me and Anthony are we don't own to be. We don't say that we're the end all be all, that we know everything about retro gaming.
Nobody does.
But I say that because me and Anthony are Nintendo heavy.
You're Nintendo,
but you growing up was Sega.
You guys were focused on and oriented with Nintendo. So was my brother. My brother was an NES guy. I was fortunate enough to have a SEGA Master System, and my Sega playing went from the Master System to the Sega Genesis to the Sega CD, and that's where I stopped because I think I got pretty disgusted with the 32X, and around that time the PlayStation had come out. I just got sick of the accessories. They abandoned the Sega CD, went to a 32X, which didn't do well. Then all of a sudden,
weird.
New system, and it's like, even keeping up. Had my first job, so I went with Sony, and Sony had exciting stuff at the time.
Sony.
Yeah, so that was my save. But the best years, in all honesty, were at the end of the Master System, which was very brief, and the Genesis years. I gotta say, without a doubt, probably the most video gaming I've done in probably my life was in that era. So, yeah, I had a Master System. I had a couple of good games for it.
So let me ask you real quick, because, and this was also back then, this was a time where it was kind of not unheard of, but, like Back to the Future, the movie Back to the Future, Marty's already back in 1955. He's in his mother's house. He's sitting down for dinner, and they're like, 2 TVs. What are you, a millionaire? So, the older brother from Wonder Years says that.
Right, I remember.
So growing up, to have like 2 different systems was
it was pretty
not normal.
No, it wasn't normal.
So,
my brother and I were very fortunate.
Yeah.
He had bought the NES when it he hadn't bought it. Obviously, my folks did. We were 8, 9 years old. It was I think it was a Christmas or a birthday present for him. The Master System was something similar, maybe a year or 2 later. So I may have been it might have been 87.
Okay.
88, where a Master System came into my hands, and it was either a Christmas present or a birthday present.
Was it like the original Master System, or was it that Master System 2?
It's the original Master System.
Okay.
I don't think there was a Master System 2 yet.
I
think that was more like early 90.
Probably.
It came with Hang On and Safari Hunt on one cartridge.
Really?
Yep, and it came.
Wow.
It came with the light gun.
Okay.
I don't remember if it came with 2 controllers or 1. I probably
I
came with
2. Back then,
they gave you good packages in the styrofoam and the cardboard boxes back in the day. They set you up nice. And the one thing I remember about it, because my brother and I shared a room, was that the Master System was set up in my parents' room and the Nintendo was set up in our room. We played a lot more Nintendo than we did Master System. At the end of the day, Nintendo put out a better gaming product.
And that is up for debate, but
I'll tell you why.
No, I agree with you.
And I'm someone who loves the Master System. I'm a Sega guy. Sega had a superior product in terms of color, in terms of graphics. I don't know about the sound. The big problem with the Master System, there was some kind of modded sound chip in Japan, I think. I don't think it ever came around here. But I never liked the music or the sound of the synthesizers or anything on the Master System. I always thought it sounded awful and tinny, and even then when I was a kid, it was kind of annoying. We keep the volume low when we played. Some of the vocal effects were funny. Great Football had some great vocal effects that made us laugh every time.
Okay.
But Nintendo they just promoted themselves better. I think Sega let Tonka handle a lot of the promotion here, and they kind of treated it like a toy rather than a gaming product. Nintendo went out of their way to not only show that the games were different than the arcade. I think to get their seal of approval, you had to have a certain percentage. So if you had Rygar in the arcade, which is basically just a level, level by level with increasing difficulty to eat your quarters, the Rygar at home had to be different. With some fundamental, similarities.
Yeah.
The weapon, the character was the same. It was in an adventure world with
almost like an RPG. Yeah,
it's a great game.
Oh, fantastic!
The Master System, I think Sega had a lot of great experience in the arcade. They had a lot of great arcade translations. So one of my favorite Master System arcade translations, and I told Larry 1,000 times he even bought it, is Rampage.
Yes.
I think the Master System had the best 8-bit version of Rampage you will find anywhere. It blows Nintendo's out of the water. Better color, better sound. You had all 3 monsters, and you could play 2 players at the same time. Could you do that on the Nintendo one? I don't remember. I think you could, right?
I think you could, yeah.
But you had Ralph. Ralph was my favorite character.
See, Ralph was not in the NES version.
It was not. It was just George and Lizzie.
George and Lizzie.
Yep.
And what I love about also with the Rampage is that this is very superficial, but it was a different box. It was a different color box. Normally, the Master System boxes were white. This one was red.
They did have white boxes, but I had the red box.
Okay.
It was freaking awesome.
So, with the the Master System, is like the Master System to Sega is the NES to Nintendo.
Right, 8-bit system around the same time. Yeah.
Now, did you end up having like, did you own a lot of games? Like, did you
not
really?
Not many.
And I'm not talking about whether it was socio-economical or just out of didn't want any.
Let's just say my brother probably had about 50 Nintendo games. Maybe with the Master System, I would say anywhere from like 7 to 11 games I might have had. Right. It was a very rare thing. It was a different taste. It was it's a different, and by now everybody's played a Master System. Master System seems to be making some sort of a retro noise
I think it is
now
because
everybody's played everything else. So the Master System had some good games and it had some pretty rotten games.
Let's get a Master System Mini, Sega. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. They should put every game on it.
Now, what is some of your sleeper hits? I always come to you sometimes. These hidden gems for Genesis and stuff like that.
I thought Monopoly, their version of Monopoly, was excellent.
Okay.
The very hated on all the other systems, especially the NES, Ghostbusters. The Master System version was actually. It's a business management game. Mm-hmm. You got to control your inventory, control your prices, go to the jobs, complete the jobs, and then unlock a big opportunity, which is getting past the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And point being, it's executed poorly. It's not a great game, but it's playable on the Master System.
Okay.
Which is hard to say. Reggie Jackson Baseball is probably the best 8-bit baseball game I've ever played.
Really?
To this day.
Wow.
I'll say that.
Okay.
I love it. It went under different names in the European markets and South American, where the Master System was a much bigger hit than it was in the United States. It didn't land well here, and I think from what I understand, it was because of poor promotion, and I don't remember it being promoted.
I don't ever remember a Master System being promoted.
So you had the Alex Kidd games. The one I played was Miracle World, which is the one everyone played. The collision detection is awful, but the level design is fantastic. A lot of problems with a lot of the Master System 8-bit games that were side-scrollers or whatever. They were mimicking quarter-munching arcade, which was basically just straight level after straight level with increasing difficulty to make you lose your quarter.
Yeah. Gauntlet is the most
there are more
prominent example.
Nuanced games on the 8-bit systems that because they didn't have the graphical and sound power of the arcades, they compensated with good level design. That's how the 8-bits era, why it's so legendary. And honestly, the early Genesis titles, even though they looked beautiful, they were trying to still mimic the arcades. When they started getting into things like Comic Zone and getting into level design or Alex Kidd from earlier, that's where Sega really hit their strong points. So you got Reggie Jackson Baseball, Alex Kidd, which is, I understand, is having a very redrawn remake also.
I think that Wonder Boy just had one. Actually, I just purchased Wonder Boy on the Switch. Yeah.
So you had their great sports series, like great football, great soccer, great baseball. They were fun to play. They had their arcade hits like Space Harrier, Shinobi, Outrun. Obviously, I think I said Hang On.
Yes.
They did it competently. Everything, the colors were very there. Like, Nintendo kind of has that drained look in their colors because you were only, out of 52 colors available on the NES, only 16 appeared on screen, and it's significantly larger on the Master System. I don't remember the specifics, but I'm sure.
We're gonna check some stuff out. In fact, let me just give some stats here on the Master System. So the Master System is considered actually third generation. It was released in Japan October 20th, 1985. Here in North America, we got it September of '96.
That's not correct. 96. It would be 86 or 87. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because 96, the Genesis.
Oh, you're right. I said 96? I'm sorry.
96. I was like, wow.
I need
is that a Wikipedia mistake? Or No, that's hard to read. I mean, we're old. So.
So Japan, the game, its system lasted from 85 to 91. Here, 86 to 92. So we got the 5 years, basically. A little more than that. I can't do math. It was about $200 when it was sold. Now, this was back in 86. So that's still a lot of money. Give or take.
I don't think my folks paid that much for it. I think whether it was a KB sale or something like that.
Good lord.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was like KB's Toys. I don't remember the circumstances.
2 million units were sold worldwide. That was as of 1993.
Wow.
It took ROM cartridges and Sega cards.
It had the cards. That's right.
Cards?
I never owned the card.
This is very weird.
Black Belt to Zillion. They had these weird side-scrolling, like real low memory card games that were cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, so if a
It was
regular
like a TurboGrafx.
So if a regular Master System game was between $39.99 and $49.99, these were like $29.99. You know, $19.99. I never bought any of those. I never played them. I played them recently on other platforms.
Okay,
but
yeah.
you know, I never played them back then.
Yeah, the actually no, I never really looked into the Sega card. I'm looking here, capacity up to 32 kilobytes. Had 36 pins.
Even I know that's not a lot.
The format originated in '83 in Japan. Let's see, later Sega platforms took care of it. They only published about a dozen games in the format.
Yeah, it wasn't viable. It really, I think it had an external connection underneath the system for something in the future, and a lot of those systems did that. Even NES had some kind of external plug-in at the bottom for future.
They all did, yeah, just in case. Also, I just want to mention here the sound. Yamaha VDP PSG for you nerds out there. 8 kilobyte RAM. CPU.
Does it mention
4
anything
megahertz.
about an enhanced sound chip there?
I don't see anything right off the bat.
Okay, because
had a light fade, the light gun, like you talked about.
The light gun was good.
3D glasses. This thing ran off 3D glasses.
Zaxxon had 3D. It was better 3D than the NES.
This was the
not
80s.
Not saying it was. Well, you remember Rad Racer on the NES?
But those were traditional red-blue.
Yeah,
we're talking about like actual, almost like a PSVR.
From what I remember, it wasn't much better than the NES. It's just that the games happen to look better on the Master System in general.
Okay.
I had very limited experience with Zaxxon. I just remember Zaxxon 3D being that game at the time. I had one friend who had a Master System. One.
I don't know anyone with one.
Yeah. I had played at his house. Now, we're going back to 86, 87, so I'm like 9 years old. Rambo First Blood Part 2, which was kind of an Ikari Warriors Commando kind of clone. It played all right, you know what you're getting with that. Rambo 3 was a phaser gun game, which was a lot of fun, but it wasn't accurate. Safari Hunt, which was the first phaser gun game that was a pack-in with hang-on, was very accurate. So I don't know where it went wrong. I used to have to hold the freaking gun up to the screen. I could shoot the guy like right in front of me, and the stupid thing still wouldn't hit him.
The old cheat.
Needless to say, I managed to get through 6 levels of that game, and I don't know how.
So I didn't realize this. The Game Gear was actually based on the Master System's architecture. That's pretty interesting.
When I first saw Game Gear, that's what was impressive. I was kind of like, wow, that's kind of a portable Master System.
Yeah. So that's got a lot. So what are there some games that you would recommend?
Without a doubt, the ones I mentioned, Reggie Jackson Baseball Rampage. If you're an RPG guy, the gem of the Master System, and it's an RPG, so it's already a niche market. Phantasy Star, the first Phantasy Star, is on the Master System. It's a terrific game. It's a terrific story. There's a lot of grinding in it, and grinding by definition, from what I learned, because I didn't know this stuff until recently, is that you got to level up constantly. You got to constantly battle monsters, level up, gain money, then go to the next town, then do the same thing. It's that kind of RPG, but it's got a really cool story, really cool 3D dungeons, which were like revolutionary at the time. If you could find this game, it's worth the price tag. If you could find it on a retro collection, which it was on Sonic's Ultimate, I think, as an unlockable on the PS3 and Xbox, whatever.
So.
Yeah,
I think so.
So you got Phantasy Star. I'm not going to recommend Alex Kidd in Miracle World. You got to be a really hardcore platformer. There's issues with the collision, but it's it's all right. Okay. So R-Type, you had a really good version of the
R-Type.
You had not like TurboGrafx good, but you had a really good R-Type for the time on that. It really showed up what the Master System can do. I'm not going to recommend Double Dragon, though. It is more accurate to the arcade, and it's 2 players simultaneous. I played it recently after 30 years of not playing it. It's unplayable how awful the collision is.
I never realized how bad the first Double Dragon was, even on the NES. I guess because I didn't know anything else.
I actually liked that first.
So do I, but a lot of people complain about it.
Double Dragon 2 is the best.
Double Dragon 2 is the more superior. Yes.
Shinobi is awesome on the Master System. Maybe not graphically superior to the arcade, but I think it's a little more playable. It gives you a life bar. Very smooth controls.
I've grown to love Shinobi at this point. I haven't really played it before.
There is a, like I said, there's a great version of Monopoly. Probably my favorite version of a video game Monopoly anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can get Afterburner, you can get Outrun, all the arcade hits, Space Harrier, Choplifter. They're all really good versions of those arcade games. You know, you're not going to be losing out on them. They are very true to the arcade, so they feel like quarter munching. So that's up to you. There is a great Zelda clone that I didn't play back then. I played it a few years ago when I had the PS3 and on that Sonic's Ultimate Collection.
That's an unlockable, yeah.
It's an unlockable game called Golden Axe Warrior. It literally has next to nothing to do with the arcade or Genesis Golden Axe games except the name of the main character. And he doesn't look like, you know, the guy in the arcade looks like Conan. This guy looks like Link with blue armor because it's a Zelda clone. It's literally
it's
to a
lifted,
T.
yeah.
You know, the only thing that's cool about it is you get axes, you get different swords. Like, you don't just have one sword that you upgrade. You get different kind of weapons in that regard. It's a Zelda clone right down to the map design. It's graphically superior to Zelda, so it's almost like an in-between The Legend of Zelda and The Link to the Past graphically.
Okay.
Because the colors are beautiful on it, and it plays very well, plays very smooth. It plays like Zelda. If you like Zelda, you're going to love the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it didn't get a wide promotion here because I think Nintendo would have sued the pants off them had they tried that in American markets, but by then the Master System was dead. And recently, I played a game I never even heard of until now.
Okay.
It's called Master of Darkness. I think I found it on a YouTube video or something. And it's
that's the one that you told me about.
It's their version of Castlevania, and it plays really well. The first boss I fought, you go through level 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3.
Mm-hmm.
The first boss I fought was Jack the Ripper.
Really?
And I beat him pretty good. But it's very playable. It's different enough from Castlevania that it's not a direct ripoff like Golden Axe Warrior. But it's definitely inspired by the Castlevania games. Beautiful color, beautiful graphics and animation. So there's a good pro wrestling game.
Oh, I actually own that one. Just to own a pro wrestling game.
If you're going to start with let's say 5 games, I would go with Reggie Jackson Baseball, Rampage, Phantasy Star, R-Type, and Shinobi. If you're going to get started in Master System collecting, try to track those games down.
Mm-hmm.
Those games, you know, they're definitely worth your while. They came out with, you know, like when the Genesis came around, they had their own version of Sonic. They had their own Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Different name, but I think it was basically based on Castle of Illusion. The Master System did tremendously well in Europe, and I think in South America even beat Nintendo out over there.
Oh, yeah?
And it was very popular for years in South America. The Master System had a big... I think they were producing Master Systems up until like the late 90s or something like that. It's like,
well, that's what crazy, I'm going to get into in a moment. Yeah. All right. So, any other?
Well, what about you? You've recently gotten into Master System. So
recently, I haven't really played a ton of them. I'm shocked some of the games that have appeared on there, like an R-Type, like Sonic. Sonic games have appeared on there. Smash TV. The terrible game Pit Fighter somehow made its way on there.
The Genesis version is fun.
I hate that game.
It's terrible, but
it's like about it.
It's like watching what's that movie we just watched? It's so bad that it's good.
No Retreat, No Surrender.
Well, No Retreat, No Surrender is a masterpiece. I was thinking like Samurai Cop or something like that.
Brutal Massacre. No, actually, that is good.
It's a great movie by a good old friend of mine, Mr. Stephen Mena. Check out his Mena Film site on Facebook.
And there's your cheap plug. Yeah. I just kind of came across it, and there's something about the graphics, like the pulled back graphics for games like Sonic.
Yeah.
Like games that I'm used to playing on Genesis.
16-bit.
You know, and Nintendo did that too. Nintendo put out a lot of games on Super Nintendo, but also put out an NES version.
There was like an overlap as they would, like a transition. So they wanted to make sure they covered both markets.
So, and you're right, I kind of just started getting into really deep diving into these games.
Yeah.
I would love to get a Master System. Right now, I don't think there's any HDMI converter for now, wire for a Master System.
Right?
There's one for Genesis, and I could get a power-based converter.
Good luck getting one of those.
It's good luck, and it's pricey.
They're hard to get. I actually had one when I transitioned to
really?
the Genesis.
That's
yeah,
cool.
because I think I had to sell my Master System as part of that. Yeah.
Well, sometimes that's what we did back then, because who knew?
Funkoland.
Who knew? Funkoland. Good Lord.
Yeah, I think I got 3 pennies for it or something. I don't know.
So I don't really know a lot of the hidden gems of the Master System yet. But I would definitely love to get my hands on a system, on some games. But while you were talking, I was looking up some research, and I'm going to kind of dip into another very quick topic I wanted to talk about, but still with the Master System. So, game systems come out at different times throughout the world.
Sure.
Usually, for the most part, Japan first, then North America, then Europe, then Australia usually waits a little while. But there's one region I didn't realize, for some reason, is always far behind, and that's Brazil.
And Master System was huge.
Master System was, overtook Brazil. The reason I'm saying this is because the Nintendo Switch is about to be released for the first time in Brazil. And the Switch has been out since 2017.
It's already out for 3 years.
Yeah.
See, I'm behind it. I should live in Brazil. That's not a bad idea. I think I'm going to move to Brazil. I'll probably have an easier time getting a Switch in Brazil than I would here right now, right? Yeah.
It's Carnival. So I was shocked to read that the Switch is about to be released in Brazil. I know it's not available on every corner of the globe, but I would consider Brazil a big country, a modern country that has access to a lot of stuff, and that
access to a global
the Nintendo would have already had the Switch on sale there. Yeah, maybe not the same day we got it, but at some point.
Right.
Now, while I was looking into this, because it shocked me that the Master System was so popular in Brazil. Remember when I mentioned a Master System Mini? I think Brazil has a Master System Mini.
Why don't we have a Master System?
This is what I'm trying to read here. So, where'd it go? Here we go. So, the company that put out the Master System in Brazil is called Tectoy.
Tectoy, right.
And so I'm scrolling. This is on Wikipedia. Here it is. Master System Super Compact. The Master System variant exclusively released in Brazil.
Is that considered a...
Hold on. In 2006... Tectoy released the Master System 3 collection and the Mega Drive 3, including 120 and 71, respectively, built-in games. Where the hell is this here in North America?
It's not speaking to the quality of them, though. I would imagine it's good if Tectoy had handled that distribution in the past, but not like at games. But,
here we go. As of 2015, in Brazil... The Master System and Mega Drive combined sell around 150,000 a year.
It's huge.
And it's still going on.
There's a lot of love for that Master System,
This is a quote, Wikipedia, this is a level comparable to modern consoles available in Brazil, such as the PS4. Despite the Mega Drive being temporarily discontinued.
Temporarily.
That's crazy, though. I got to look into more of this. Let's see, 1990, Tectoy translated several games published by SEGA into Portuguese, such as Phantasy Star, Shining in the Darkness, blah, 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 blah. Aside from its... okay, then it goes with other stuff.
I think they had Wonder Boy games on the Master System, too.
I mean, we need to get our hands on this thing. So we got to see what it's all about.
Go for it. Get yourself a Master.
Do we have anyone in Brazil? I know we have a fan in Peru. I don't know how far that is from Brazil, but if you could get into Brazil and maybe get your hands on one of these super compact.
Love to get my hands on a Master System with an enhanced sound chip. It makes a tremendous difference. The sound that I was familiar with on the Master System, every game sounded like it was just done with the same instruments. I don't know how to explain that. Like the same synth, like the same tinny sound on every game. Phantasy Star sounded the same as Rampage, and Phantasy Star had a good soundtrack considering what they were working with. That's the one thing in hindsight about the Master System that really I can't get with was the sound. When you got to the Genesis, the sound chip's beautiful on the Genesis. But
I forgot there were some Master System games available on the Wii Virtual Console, which I might actually have still.
Try them. Yeah,
so I got to see what's on my memory card because the shop is shut down. So yeah, again, sales of the Master System between 10 and 13 million units, not including Brazilian sales. It was more successful in Europe and Brazil than Japan and North America. In 1989, the Master System was listed in the top 20 products of NDP's group's toy retail tracking system. Let's see.
They had their own version of Ninja Gaiden. See, I never knew this stuff. Recently tried Streets of Rage and Streets of Rage 2, which strangely enough, the first Streets of Rage is thousands of times better than Streets of Rage 2 on the Master System. Like, remember we tried it? It was awful.
Yeah.
It was like actually...
Again, who knew that came out on the Master System?
It was, by the time these games hit, the Master System was already dead in North America. It was gone. It was everybody was playing Genesis. Some people like myself were onto Sega CD, which was a shame because I really liked that Sega CD.
Sega CD was good, yeah.
Yeah, underrated.
So, all right, so, go out, find yourself a Master System. If you do, let us know in the comments, what games did you like on the Master System? What about the Master System did you like, period?
Yep.
A lot of people prefer the NES over the Super Nintendo. Do you prefer the Master System over the Genesis?
See, I'm like that. I like the NES better than Super Nintendo.
Okay.
But I definitely, the Genesis was, to me, Sega's high point. Unfortunately, the Sega CD did not work out. Didn't have the support. Had some great games, just not enough there. Let's not even talk about the 32X. And I was never... I think the Saturn was probably like the next best hope. And when they went to the Dreamcast so quickly, because PlayStation was just... that was it. People, they couldn't keep up with, Sony. And then when Microsoft threw their head, a company like Sega, it's a big company, but it's not Sony and Microsoft big.
Okay. And remember, hit us up on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook at Retro Gamers Podcast, on Twitter at Retro Gamers Pod. Definitely want to hear from you. Yeah, so the other thing I want to mention as well, and we'll start to wrap this up here in a little bit, and I do appreciate you being on the show today.
Fun. I always like talking about this stuff.
Definitely enjoy talking about the Master System.
Absolutely.
What made me think about this was Anthony was saying, like, the Master System, because he has the PS3, which I still have to ship him.
That was a good system.
The Master System is like the only system he's really missing from the big four. Nintendo, Sega, Microsoft, and Sony. So... Hopefully, Ant, you're down in Florida now. Maybe you'll find one.
Is it worth it? If
As
you're
a
a collector and an enthusiast, I think absolutely it's worth it. If you're more on the casual side, you can either go for these current crop of plug and plays. If you like the old school games, I mean, we've talked about this before, so you know how But
one of the best plug and plays, I think, still is the TurboGrafx.
Yeah, no, the crop of plug and plays that came out the last 5 years from NES now to the TurboGrafx, it's phenomenal. The market that's there for it, and even for the enthusiast, because the enthusiast can get every game they want. You get a number of 40, 50 games on the TurboGrafx. I mean, just on that alone knocks the other three out of the water. As far as
that was kind of like a few weeks ago here on Long Island, we had the hurricane blow through out of nowhere.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and meanwhile, as we speak, there's two of them about to combine themselves into like a Megazord down there in the south. So first time ever, like two hurricanes at the same time. Well, 2020 continues
in our
to shock and awe.
Yeah.
But we at a point, just real quick to mention, and I mentioned this I think last week or 2 weeks ago with Anthony. In television, we were watching that in television video.
Yes, we did. There was a whole...
And they mentioned how they're not really there to compete against Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo. They're kind of in their own wheelhouse. And I feel like the Master System is kind of like that.
They're putting out a gaming product. No, the Master System was definitely made to compete with Nintendo. It was.
I meant like now, like for those enthusiasts.
Oh well, that you could say that about any system now, right? I mean, Nintendo's not. You're not really. Nintendo's not making any money when you buy an NES now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the store, the mom and pop stores or the retro gaming areas that they're making the money. So there's no competition with anything. But I think they're just trying to put out a good gaming. I think gaming is becoming very catered to the individual's tastes and needs. Mm-hmm. The Switch is showing that. Companies who are competing with each other, like Microsoft and Sony, they're gearing more towards professional gaming. Because now that is a thing.
That is a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah. You can be a professional gamer in this world, and I think...
Drives me nuts.
That I don't know what to make of it, But It's there.
It is.
You can profit from it if you are skilled at these things.
Which I am not.
It makes two of us. And then you have guys like us who remember playing these things growing up. You know, I have kids, and I share that experience with them. And every now and then, when I have a free night and I want to sit down and I don't feel like reading a book or watching something on internet TV or whatever you call it, I'll pop out an NES. I'll pop out the TurboGrafx, you know, and you sit and play a game either that you remember playing 30 years ago that you remember hearing about and never got to play. And there's a fun thing in that, you know.
Yeah. And also another update, I've yet to hear still from Arcade 1-Up about my answer, or about my question about the Ms. Pac-Man machine, if it will play with the hyperspeed. Arcade 1-Up, I feel, is ducking me at this point.
There's got to be a reason why they can't then.
Because
it's bugged.
They don't know who I am. That's why they're not responding.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, what if you asked as a customer? Like,
You're
asking as a, so that the answer is no.
They answer other people.
The answer's got to be no.
That's got to be a selling point for everybody. I can't imagine anyone wanting a Ms. Pac-Man on the regular speed.
Have you ever researched the market for that? For the hyperspeed? The hyperspeed. What was the niche crowd?
It was a quarter.
I mean, it is fun
muncher.
to play. I only got exposed to it through him because I never knew about it all these years.
It's the only way I've ever known how to play.
Yeah, no, I never played it at high speed.
I can't play. I can't play Pac-Man anymore because that one was always on that regular speed.
Well, is there a version out there that's available to you that you?
The home console. The only version is on Genesis. And even that doesn't super match the speed of the arcade, but it's close enough.
I gave you my Genesis one because I hated it.
No, I own one.
I gave you one, though. Remember, I was going to sell it back, and I think it was just a cartridge, right?
No, I have it.
You have it?
I bought it from Game On.
I could have sworn I gave you
Unless you sold it to them, and then I bought it from them immediately.
I thought I gave you my copy of it because I was selling it back.
I have your Batman and your Terminator.
Well, they're yours right now, so don't worry about it.
I don't know why. You can take them.
Whenever I hook it up. It's no big deal. I know where you live.
With that, we want to start to wrap this up here, but I do want to make this note. Probably the first time we're ever actually going to talk about previewing next week's episode. Me and Anthony have never done this before.
I'm excited. Let's hear it.
So next week, Anthony will be back, and we are going to deep dive and talk about the new show on Netflix, High Score, which is basically a documentary tracing the evolution of video game industry from the days of Atari to now. I don't know how many episodes there are in this season, but I'm gonna try and watch them all before me and Anthony record.
Looks like it's worth a view.
I think so.
I disagree that E.T. is the worst game ever made. I think that should go to Atari's Raiders of the Lost Ark, but that's another story. So
it's up there, though. Yeah, it's up there. All right. So, again, Mario, thank you very much for joining.
My pleasure.
All right. Do you have anything to plug? Do you have a...
I've got nothing right now, but...
Sounds good.
That's it. I'm just hanging in there.
Of course, you can find me virtually everywhere at More365, MOHR365. I've been obsessed with TikTok the last few weeks, so you might find me on there.
He's obsessed with Reface, and that might be my fault.
It's a couple people's fault, actually. Yeah. So tune in next week for actually the review of High Score, and we will catch you right here next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.